determine after you understand the basics of the launch. Point number two is to determine when you'll launch. And then you've got to actually pull the trigger. You can't be in, ready, aim, aim, plan, plan, plan. At some point, you actually have to pull the trigger and do this thing. So determine when are you going to launch and then actually do the launch. Here's a tip. A content calendar will help you decide when. So what is a content calendar? A content calendar is a map out that you create that runs for ideally 6, 9, 12 months, whereby you decide when you're going to do launches, when you're going to do certain podcasts, when you're going to promote certain things on your blogs, and what's going to go across social media. And here's what I would suggest is the first thing that needs to go on the content calendar is absolutely your launches. Before you do blogs, podcasts, before you decide when you're going to feature any other thing on your website, you need to determine when these launches are going to happen. Why? It's because your business cannot exist if you don't bring in revenue. And your revenue is essential for the business continuing to thrive. And so what you got to do, first of all, is decide, hey, when am I going to go public and make these offers to where people can come make a purchase from what we're doing? So the first thing to go on the content calendar is spread out once a quarter, ideally, for these public-facing launches, is when am I going to schedule the launches and allow people into this membership group? But I would also say you need to do the same thing with your courses, with book launches. Yes, you're going to have some things running evergreen in the background, but in terms of public-facing launches for memberships, courses, and books, when are you going to do those? Put those on the calendar. The next thing that you want to do is you want to decide, all right, now that I know when those launches are, I want to decide what blogs am I going to post? What videos am I going to share on my website? What podcasts am I going to publish and push out to other platforms that are going to basically warm up the list and teach and talk about the content that's related to my launch? And so ideally, you'll say, well, the launch is going to be on day 90 from now. And so days 46 through 90, I'm going to be warming up my list and I'm going to be teaching content related to the subject of that launch. And then I'll start filling in the gaps in other areas. The next thing that you need to put on your content calendar is, when am I going to promote certain opt-ins? It would make sense to do some opt-ins related to the content of your launch several months before that launch, so you can start warming people up and leading them towards that date that you know when you're going to open the cart, open the doors for this sale. Now, again, when people opt in, you don't say, hey, I'm going to launch 60 days from now. Hey, I'm launching 30 days from now. You're just kind of letting them opt in to take advantage of offering them value. This is going to identify certain people to you who are probably going to be most likely to respond to the very thing that you launch. And then finally, once you understand all of these, you know exactly when to schedule social media to bolster your brand, to repurpose other content. You know when to start fitting other things into the calendar to where you build out, again, posting ideally every day is what you'd want to do on social media, at least 5, perhaps even 6 days a week, wanting to send an email broadcast out to your list several times a week. You'll know how to do that by fitting everything in. Again, first priority is launch. Second priority is what blogs, videos, and podcasts kind of warm up the list towards that. I want to then place some opt-ins and emails that are going to lead people and identify people who are hot and more likely to respond to this launch. And then I want to fill in everything else with social media and all the other forms of content that I'm going to do. And this becomes a great time to start repurposing some of your old content. Here's a pro tip. A content calendar helps in every area of your business. It doesn't just help with the launches. If you look at that, it starts really telling you when to do all of the other things. And if you know that you're going to launch and that's going to require a lot of time and energy, it also enables you to know, okay, well, these are other times when I could actually step back and I could work on the book. These are the off times from the launch when I could step back and I've got the emotional and mental bandwidth and the physical stamina when I could focus on creating the course. These are the seasons that it's going to be slower and I'm not going to be occupied with the launch. So now, once we understand, here's when I'm bringing income, here's when I'm focusing on bringing income into the business, I then know when to calendar, when to schedule everything else that I need to do to effectively run this business.